Three deep on ESPN 850 WKNR. Gerard Cherry, Emma Gold, and the Will Burge. And special guest in studio with us now, sports genius, Alex Hale in here. What's going on, Alex?
Nothing much. Thanks for having me on, you guys.
No problem. Yeah, so Gerard, we have Alex in studio with us here.
Correct.
And Alex is in here to make sure that you're correct on all your facts. Is that what I get right here?
Well, that's part of it, too.
Oh, okay.
Let me give you a quick story on how I met Alex.
All right.
Through Sam Pines. Everyone is familiar with who Sam Pines is. He's one of the men.
Top men here.
Around
top,
here.
Top men.
Top men. Top-notcher.
He's the guy who makes all the money here.
That he does.
He and Keith, yes.
That he does. And Alex, well, I should say this. Alex has autism.
Mm-hmm.
But Alex is a person who is dealing with it and doing some extraordinary, exceptional things while dealing with autism. Now, you guys know I have a child that has autism.
Yeah.
So for me just to even hear you communicate, talk, and doing all the things you're doing is just impressive.
Not only doing that, but came here dropping sports
Right.
knowledge in like
it was
20
nothing.
seconds he
Now,
walked in the door.
He does have an advantage on us because if he's a savant on some of this stuff, he could just remember stuff that we could not dare remember. So there's an advantage there, but at the same time, one of the issues is being able to convey that information. Obviously, he doesn't have that problem. So, man, we're definitely happy to have you here, man, and look forward to it.
It's an honor to be here. I've always dreamed on being on ESPN at 850. I mean, you know,
you're here,
I
baby.
listen to all of your shows. I mean, listen in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon, always at night. I mean,
you're at the big time now. Well, kind of.
Sort of.
We're the forgotten show here, but the big time's really in the morning. But it's all right. Either way, you're here with us. No. So a couple things. Before we get back to the phone lines, we're just going to have you jumping in the conversation with us.
Fine.
How old are you, Alex?
22.
22 years old. And what is the T-shirt you're wearing, and who spotted it first?
Okay. Emma did back there. It's a Dolph Ziggler T-shirt. I picked it out perfectly because I always like to steal the show.
There you go.
So when I walk, I'll just I love that thing. Anyways, I was in Chicago performing at the Chicago Walk for Autism. 20,000 people. And I got to debut my new song, so hopefully we have time to play it.
We'll definitely play it at some point during the show.
It's called Walk a Mile. And I felt like I got up there and in front of 20,000 people, I felt like I had to steal the show, and I did. There was a person right after me, and he's a country singer. I want to give a shout out to Andrew Selgado. I don't know if he's listening, but he pulled me aside right afterwards. And he says, "You're coming up with me on stage right before I go on," and he thanked me in front of all 20,000 people. He's like, "What you are doing is such an inspiration." He's not on the spectrum, but he does this for them every year. And he said, "You're such an inspiration. I want you to hear my song now," because it was just. I mean, he was great. I mean, everybody in Chicago was great. And they asked me back right after I got off stage.
And let me add to that, too. When we have the radiothon, we're actually going to interview a doctor whose son is on the spectrum, and you'll get more insight into what that entails of being on the spectrum with autism. And like I said, as you become more educated about autism, you're going to be fascinated by what Alex is able to accomplish.
Now, Alex, I'm already fascinated because he dropped the Cavs trade on us earlier. We'll get to that in a little bit, but he dropped the Cavs trade scenario on me that blew my mind, and I'm ready to email Chris Grant and see if he could go start pursuing.
I'm up for hire for any GM position because I could do it for any of the teams, believe it or not.
And I'll be your assistant GM. You're in your hype man. How about that?
I actually
got to pay better than this.
Let me just add this. With my mind, I didn't realize this until I was older. I actually taught myself Moneyball at 10.
Really?
And I didn't realize it because I was looking through stats, and 4 years before Victor Martinez came up, I looked at his stats and I said, "This guy will be a star. I guarantee it." 4 years later, I have witnesses to this, and 4 years later, I have these people walk up to me and said, "How did you know that?" I said, "Just looking at the stats."
Hey, we might want to introduce you to Browns because they're big into analytics.
That's true. That's the route they're moving. And speaking of talking Browns, Jim Brown introduced today as a special advisor role to Jimmy Haslam. Asking you out there, do you find anything wrong with what happened in the press conference today where Jimmy Haslam says it's a community role? He'll have many facets, but really emphasize community in the inner city. And Jim Brown said, player relations. That's what I'm doing. 216-578-0850. Let's go back to the phone lines. Tony and Akron, you're up next. 3 deep on ESPN 850 WKNR. What's up, Tony?
Hey, what up, fellas?
How are you, man?
How you doing?
I'm good. I just got a couple things. I was up early this morning, so I caught the whole thing about Goldie taking the sandwich. And when I first heard it, I was like, hold on, man, that's cold. First thing Doopy said was, It was ego.
That was
I'm
Casey.
Like, oh,
Yeah, that was Casey.
Blame the black dude. I mean,
here's the thing, though, Tony.
Man.
Casey sneak disses the most. He tries to pretend like he's
cool with
everybody, but then you hear, if you listen to the really big show, he's always edging them onto the digs at the other shows. I'm up to Casey's game. I know what he's all about.
Of course, man. And I saw that, and I was like, man. I mean, Goldie, I know we yellow, man, but that really don't matter.
Exactly.
I know, man.
But I mean, I didn't catch the show till like 7:30 today, so I was gonna call in and let you know. But everybody had your back anyway, so that's a good thing.
Way to have our back, Keyshawn.
Yes, sir. So on the whole Jim Brown thing, I was just wondering if he didn't, Haslam didn't hire him to kind of do a little bit of checks and balances on Dr. No over there, because. If he answers to the owner only, then he can kind of do a little bit of I guess keep an eye on him. But I know you guys touched on that as well, and he shouldn't have to do that as long as the owner is around. So I'll hang up and listen. Thanks, fellas.
Yeah, and that is probable, but I believe Jimmy Haslam is very candid, and when he says something, it's actually what he's thinking. And I do firmly believe that he just wants Jim Brown to be part of the community.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I like him to be part of the community. And when immediately Jim Brown said he was going to be part of, player stuff, I was like, oh, boy, here we go
right
again.
Out of the gate, Alex.
I know, exactly. I'm listening to this thing.
At least he keeps it real, though. You got to respect that.
Yeah, I respect that a lot. I mean, I was just worried. I was like, oh, no, same old Browns. Here we go again.
Sounded like that.
And here's the thing about the checks and balances. It sounds like a great idea, right? Because people here would think, oh, he's got too much power, Joe Banner. But Joe Banner, it has to be one message from top to bottom.
One voice.
Isn't that what they've been preaching from the beginning? That not only will Jimmy Haslam be around, but Joe Banner's going to have control of football operations. Alex Steiner's the president of the team. Michael Lombardi's the GM, and these guys are all on the same page. And then now all of a sudden this press conference comes down, and instantly these guys aren't on the same page.
So it doesn't matter what Jim thinks he's going to do, because as soon as he gets in Banner's ear, Banner just going to say, "Come on, baby, get it together."
216-578-0850. Let's go to Deontay in Cleveland next. What's going on, Deontay?
How you doing, guys?
Yep.
I was just calling real quick. Gerard, I started listening to this show because of you. Heard you on RBS. Loved your opinions, and I had to hear more. Just put it like, I love the show. Listen to it all the time. I'm at work now, but on the Jim Brown situation, I really think you guys, if you listen to what Jim Brown said to Vic Carucci when he went in depth about his role, Jim Brown said that him and Mr. Haslam never even talked football. They talked more community. So I think Jim Brown's role will be more of a mentor type in the sense that he was talking about underprivileged kids and the impact that these football players have on the youth today. And I think he's going to address more of that as a player, because if you look at the history of the game, Jim Brown and those guys didn't play for money because they weren't getting paid nothing. So they played more for the love of the game and for the fame. And nowadays, you get underprivileged kids with extreme talent and ability playing for money, and there's no more integrity in the game. That's my comment.
Before you hang up, Deontay, let me throw this at you. We're all in agreement. Jim Brown is a not even very, but a highly intelligent man.
Yeah,
you would agree with that,
definitely.
correct?
Yep.
Correct.
Now, if you're a highly intelligent person, and here you are watching something that you love, like you just described, the game of football, and in particular this organization, in shambles, don't you want to, on some level, the direct way to have an impact on it is to deal with the players? Wouldn't you want to have that access? Wouldn't you want to be part of that? It's okay. I can't fault Jim Brown for wanting to be a part of the whole football operations piece, because he is an intelligent human being, and he has some great insight. And that's the problem, though. You can't have too many intelligent human beings in the room at the same time, because eventually someone's going to get boxed out and someone's not going to be heard. So that's where the issue comes. I don't doubt his ability to do it. I just think there's too many people in the room with too many voices, and once that happens, it's a crescendo effect in which it's loud, but nothing gets heard.
Well, like you guys just said, now, I'm in agreement with it as long as it's one voice. Because we've had the chaos before.
Right,
we
yeah.
that with Brandon Wheaton season last year. But if he's consistent with what Mr. Haslam is saying, what Joe Banner is saying, what Chud is saying, what Ray Horton and North Turner is saying, then he'll be an asset. But as you said, Gerard, in the very beginning, if he's counteractive and adding his own 2 cents in, then that seeds for bitterment and dissent.
Right.
Yeah, and you know, I agree with you, Dante. If he is on the same page and he stays on the same
power
message,
to him.
hell, he's more than an asset.
Right.
He's going to be
Definitely.
he's a weapon for them almost
Exactly.
at that point.
Yeah, having Jim Brown, if he stays in line,
Yeah.
it's a great asset for the Browns.
See, that's the key part.
Good luck.
right
Yeah.
there. If he stays
That-
in line.
I know.
You can't tell Jim Brown to stay in line because he's Jim Brown.
Yeah. Yeah.
His whole opera's is it opera merende? How
Yeah.
you say it? Help me out here.
I don't even know
That's
what
the
words are.
baseline. That's all I know.
But that's Jim. Jim likes to dominate.
Yeah.
And you want to know what? I respect that about Jim. So can't go wrong with him. Though I would like to add, if we're going to have Jim Brown here and if he's successful, let's get Bernie in here.
I agree. I think Bernie's going to be a big part of things, too.
Yeah.
What aspect, we don't
Eventually.
know. But we'll find out. 216-578-0850. Alex, you want to hang around for one more segment with us?
Yeah, definitely.
I'll tell you what, why don't we come back with his song, and then we'll talk to him about his song. We'll talk some more Jim Brown. We also got to talk about the word respect, because Jim Brown threw it on a lot in this press conference. And also about how in touch will he actually be with this younger generation athlete. Someone on the show thinks he won't be in touch with them almost whatsoever. It's 3 Deep on ESPN 850 WKNR.